Let me, first of all, commend the young people of Penville for taking up the challenge of organizing yourself. As you know, we met on November 12, 2015, at the first meeting. And the challenge to you was to organize yourself into a group so that we could work together in creating better opportunities for yourself and also capitalizing on the existing opportunities which you have created for yourself. For us in the government and for me personally, agriculture is critically important to the welfare of Dominica. We can talk tourism, we can talk agro-processing, we can talk manufacturing, we can talk services, but we have as a country to continue investing in agriculture. Food security is important. We have to be able to feed ourselves and to feed the nation and to also export to earn foreign exchange that will create greater economic activity in our country. The country cannot develop if money comes from Penville and goes to Rosa. We have to bring money from outside of Dominica to add to what we have to create the kind of economic activity that will create jobs and greater security for our country. Let nobody fool you or tell you that agriculture is not for you and me. There's nothing to be ashamed of to be a farmer in anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, in most parts of the world, in the bigger countries, you have people who are lawyers and doctors who are farmers, who own large tracts of land and are farming. So let us not kid ourselves and let people tell us that agriculture is not good and it should not be for you and shouldn't be for me. From where I sit and what I have seen, one can make a decent living in agriculture. But you have to put your mind to it, and you have to put your energies to it, and you have to be serious about it. I am not a commercial farmer. I grow things to feed myself and my family. But I do get the opportunity to sell. So I can tell you, I can stand there before you and tell you I am a self-sufficient person in Dominica. I could go home to my home in Vickers now and cook a meal, and the only thing I would have to get from the shop is a little curry, maybe a little oil, and some salt. And these days, you don't need to use salt to cook anyway. So I can cook a meal at my home with meat, with ground provisions, with seasoning, and also have my local juice made from my yard. And those of you who think, well, Skerrit, is that you don't want to plant it and so forth, think again. If you come to my yard, all of the fruit trees you see and all of the limes that you see, I planted them. And I believe in the north of Dominica, I may be the person who has the most trees, lime trees planted. 165 or so lime trees, seedless limes, that we in fact sell into to the supermarkets. I have sold passion fruits to the hucksters and to Bello. The hucksters are buying passion fruit at $1.50 a pound. $1.50 a pound they're paying for it. I think Bello was paying 80 cents or thereabout for it. Limes, you can get as high as $2.50 a pound of limes in Dominica. My friend there, Sheldon, was saying to me earlier today that his rabbit meat goes for $12.50 a pound sometimes. Eggs. I have sold eggs and I continue to sell eggs to the supermarkets. I have gone down a bit, but I used to sell eggs to the supermarkets in decent quantities. 120 dozens at one time. 80 dozens at one time. At $7.50 a dozen eggs, well packaged. So when it comes to my home, it goes straight to the shelves in supermarkets. You have sweet potatoes. And we have different varieties of sweet potatoes. And there's one variety where you can harvest in 6 weeks. And the supermarkets buy the sweet potatoes. So there are areas that we can certainly take advantage of. With the advent of the abattoir, once it becomes operational, pork and poultry, the meats, we can also produce and sell, because there is a market for these meats and so forth. So there are opportunities within the Ministry of Agriculture. There are a number of programs, number of initiatives which are presently ongoing and have been ongoing for several years now. You're talking about the passion fruit program, as the director mentioned: ginger, white potatoes, coffee, cocoa, pineapple, the livestock. And also, very critically too, the Ministry of Agriculture has been able to bring about new farm practices and new technology on the farm in terms of planting. And as you know, before, yams used to be seasonal in Dominica. Because of the hard work of people like Ricky Brumant and the folks at the Ministry of Agriculture, with our international partners, we have been able to train farmers with new technologies on the farm to not only increase their production, but to ensure that we have the sustainability of yams in Dominica. We in the North, my friends, must also prepare ourselves for the coming on stream of the hotels in Portsmouth. You know the government has signed an agreement for 160 rooms close to the Bell Hall area. And you will have, those of us who you drive there every day, you see the lands have started to be cleared. So we will be commencing the project very soon. And how are we going to prepare ourselves to supply the meat and the agricultural produce, the seasoning, to these hotels? And I can tell you there are 3 other projects, hotels, which the government is giving very favorable consideration to in the same Portsmouth area. And in the next few weeks, we will be signing agreements for these hotels. So we have to prepare ourselves not only for construction jobs, but also taking advantage of the opportunities in agriculture. Agriculture is hard work, yes, but at the end of the day, if you manage your farms properly, if you put the time and energy into the farms, you can succeed. What we're here to do with you today, as we said to you on November 12, 2015, is that we will hold your hand and assist you with some financial resources to be able to invest on the farms so that you can realize your dream, your ambition. You can realize that which you want to achieve for yourself. And back then, the agreement between yourself and myself was that the government would make available $250,000 to the farmers group once you organize. Today, we are here to make the first check available to you, and next month we will have the second check available to you. But today, we're here to make the first check available to you in the amount of $100,000, which will get you going almost immediately once the administrative arrangements are put in place to cause you to start getting the checks and capitalizing your farms and so forth. So we're keeping to our promise of engaging you, but you have to organize yourself. Since 2006, I put in place a farmers group in Penville, for example, providing direct financial support to the farmers, and they purchase inputs, and in particular, fertilizer. And we have been able to come here and sell fertilizer to farmers at $20 a bag. What's the weight of the bag, Shanks? Shanks, what's the weight of the bag? 55 kilograms? 55 kilograms. And normally the price of it is $160, $165. And we were able to sell this fertilizer to farmers at a highly concessionary rate of $20 a bag. What does that mean to the farmer? It means that every bag that the farmer purchases, we were able to save him $145. What could he do with so if he normally buys 10 bags, you can understand the amount of money we cause the farmer to keep in his credit union account. And he can do a number of things with this. He could expand his farm, he could pay for his light bill, he could buy food, he could pay his water bill, There are a number of things he could have done with this subsidy which the government given. So in essence, the government has given him $145 per bag of fertilizer, because he would have required to spend $165 to pay for the fertilizer. And that is outside of he having to go to Portsmouth and buy it, and transportation. So he has to pay his transportation, his as a person, as a passenger on the vehicle, to go and buy it. Then he has to pay for himself and the fertilizer to come to Penville separately. That's what we have been able to do here. I can say to you, in agriculture, you have no income tax on the income that you earn in agriculture. The government doesn't pay me much, and when I see the tax they take on me, I complain to them every day. But in agriculture, you pay no tax whatsoever. So every dollar you earn, you keep it. Nobody is telling you have to pay income tax on it. And the inputs are duty-free. If you're a farmer, the only thing you pay on a vehicle, Ricky, I think it's VAT, right? VAT. So the 40% or the 25%, depending on the type of vehicle you're bringing in, import duty is waived. You don't have to pay this. And the 28% excise tax that you pay, that other people pay, you don't have to pay this for a farm vehicle or a vehicle for agricultural purposes. So the only tax you pay on this is the 15% VAT. Whereas everybody else who has to buy a vehicle would have to pay the excise tax, pay the VAT, and pay the import duty. So you can see the benefits of being a farmer, being in agriculture. And with new planting material for bananas, for example, and for pineapples, there are a number of things we can get ourselves in. My caution to you as young farmers is that you have to be diversified. You have to be diversified. You must have different things planted, so that at every given time you have something to sell. You have something to sell. And I know my friend Phil Nixon and his brother, they're involved in egg production and so forth. I never had eggs staying back. People, as a matter of fact, I had people calling me from Rosa to sell them eggs. We just sell eggs all the way to Rosa. So there are opportunities. And you don't have to go to Rosa to rent and pay $800 for a little room in Rosa with the water not working and the toilet not flushing properly. You stay here in Penville and you earn. And there are other things you can do in between. And so there are opportunities, my friend. So we're here to hold your hands. We're here to assist you. The Ministry of Agriculture, even before we launched this Young Farmers Group, the government departments have been here with you. Dexia, we sent Dexia up to engage you and to tell you the opportunities, the partnership which you can engender, which you can have with Dexia. We send the Ministry of Agriculture staff here to discuss with you of how they can assist you from a technical standpoint with material assistance. And we have in the north a young group of extension officers, of veterinary officers, who you can call at any single time of the day or night, and they will be more than willing to come and share with you their expertise and to provide support to you. So we have a solid team in enough of young professionals in agriculture. So I must say to you, Ricky, that your guys there, they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, there can always be room for improvement, but we have to talk about the positive and build on it, and to see how we can correct the gaps that may exist and so forth. So we have to work with them, and they have the technology, they have the knowledge. Let us get them going and so forth. And of course, the Chinese Technical Mission, they will come up here. They're available to you. They have resources. They have the expertise. We will bring you down to Portsmouth at their site so you can see how they are engaging themselves in planting and harvesting, and they will also come on your farms, physically come on your farms, to give you the guidance that you require, to give you the support that you require. And we'll also be providing you with seedlings. You know, and I know one of the youngsters there, I believe it's Mr. Bruni, who wants to do seedlings. And we will be supporting him under the Young Farmers Program to be able to supply ourselves there with different types of seedlings in Penville, instead of us having to go to Portsmouth and elsewhere to buy the seedlings. So rest assured, my friends, that we're serious. I know sometimes, you know, we like to see things happen as fast as possible and anxiety builds up and so forth. But patience is a virtue. And once you're patient, once we can work together, then certainly we can achieve great things. And of course, the future of Dominica is in your hands. You know, I hear people say that the young people are not interested in agriculture. I keep telling, when I hear people say that, I tell them they're wrong. Because when I go across Dominica, including in Penville, I see a lot of young people involved in agriculture. And I think what we have to continue to do is to organize groups like yourselves. Because today here we have all the young people. Well, I see Steve Charles there. So. But we have young people there, all of whom are involved in some kind of agriculture. So here it is just one village, and we'll be going to Vieille Case, we'll be going to Penville to do the same here. And my challenge to us in the country is to organize young farmers in such groups so you can take advantage of the opportunities. Under the Banana Company measures, for example, there are initiatives for young farmers that we can expose you to. And I can say to you that we will also arrange for you to travel to countries like China and Morocco, to spend some time there and to see what the Chinese are doing in China in so far as agriculture is concerned. And to go to Morocco and to see what the Moroccans have been able to do in agriculture. And to bring that kind of knowledge onto the farms in Penville, onto the farms in Dominica. So it's not only going to be about this small group and farming, we're going to be exposing you to different agricultural practices and advanced agricultural practices outside of Dominica. So it's going to be, I'm hoping that you can start the revolution of organizing young farmers group. Because I can tell you, the first farmers group was organized here in Penville. And out of Penville, we're able to organize farmers groups in Mount Prosper, in Wesley and Woodford Hill, in Calibishi, in Bells, in Paybush, in St. Joe, in Pilit Savan, in Granby. In Colliho, we're able to organize a number of farmers groups out of the formation of a farmers group here in Penville. And what I'm going to be doing, working very closely with the Minister of Agriculture, is that, as you know, I'll be opening up an office in Galba very soon. We have the office, we're just furnishing it and so forth. And it will be staffed. We will have it'll be fully Wi-Fi. We'll have some tablets there with the primary school children and the older folks, because I want to expose our older folks to the technology. You understand? It's not only young people who should be using tablets and so forth. You know, I want Vivian Moreno to be able to go inside there and use the tablet, you know, and to search the World Wide Web. So we'll be having a number of tablets there with Wi-Fi and training people. And secondly, we will also have in the office a young man who will be engaging, and he'll be starting, I believe, when? The 1st of March? Or he started, his contract is signed? Not yet, but you know, he will start and he's there, is Leslie Lewis. And one of his tasks, among others, will be to go to every single farm in Penville. Because we have on the farmers group about 165, 166 names. Obviously, farmers at different level. And what you want to do is to go to every single farm and to collect the data of your name, what you're planting, the acreage, you know, and get that information so that we can pass it on to the Minister of Agriculture so that they can cross-reference to what they have. So we can create a database so that when we're delivering inputs we can know what you're planting so that we can guide you on what type of inputs you require for what you have planted. Because sometimes a man has dashing and he goes and he buy fertilizer for tree crops. And then he's seen the dashing has some nice leaves and green leaves and so forth. And when he pulls the dashing, a cocoa dashing he has. You know, so we want to ensure the other way around, that he can have a decent dashing for the market. Okay? My words to you, and not only to you here, but I'm hoping that my sentiments can carry, my views can carry, is that I am concerned in Dominica, not only here, but the whole of the country, that people are taking opportunities for granted in Dominica. And I'm speaking here, for example, in education. You know, in recent past, we had to fight for spaces at a secondary school in Dominica. And before we sat the exams, the Ministry of Education knew how many students they're going to accept. So I can say that many of us passed the common entrance, but never saw the light of day or secondary school, because we were accepting a certain number of students at the secondary school. When this government came into office, we set ourselves the target of achieving universal secondary education. The target was set in 2002. In 2007, we wanted to achieve this. And we were able to achieve it in 2005 by front-loading investments in education, putting more teachers into the school system, putting more classrooms into the system. And we are able to advance the universal access to secondary education. When you came into office, and when I came to office as Parliament, for example, and I was appointed as Minister for Education in 2002, we commissioned a study, and we found out that out of all the high school graduates in Dominica, only 7% of high school graduates went on to college in Dominica. And I can tell you, as someone who taught at the college from 97 to 1999, I can tell you I saw a number of students who came to register and who had met the requirements to come into the college. It's not that they did not pass, they met the requirements to come into college. And I always tell people, you know, I'm sure you may have heard me say that I was in charge of registering students at the college during those years I was at the college. Mr. Volney, Henry Volney was the principal. And every year I was given the task of registering students. I registered more students than Mr. Volney told me. Because to me it was against my conscience to allow these children who come from poor families to go back home and to tell their parents there's no space at the college. And as fate would have it, I happened to have been given the task a few years later to be the Minister of Education. And one of my first missions was to get the cabinet's approval on the redevelopment of the college system in Dominica. Because we could not and cannot build a country if we do not have a skilled population. And so education is critical for us. Whatever skill you have, whether you're a carpenter, you have a skill, you know. And we have been able, in a very short period of time, transform access to the college, where today we have set the platform with the investments and the construction of the new state college to allow for 100% access to college in Dominica. The number stands now at 87% of all high school graduates having access to the college, because you know there must be an entry requirement. But what have we done? We have not only created access to education for our children in Dominica, and that's not my concern is not about access. We've also provided the means of taking advantage of the access by providing free transportation, textbooks, school bags, uniforms. And all we're required to do is to study. to study. And I find these days that too many people are not studying hard enough. And I am concerned about the dropout rates. I am concerned about people dropping out from school and not attending school for no reason. And now they have the tablets too, you know. Can you imagine that? And I can tell you, I went to school, high school for 5 years, and I never got help from the government. And I went to university, and I never got help from the government. I never applied, neither did they offer me assistance. But we have those opportunities to attend university. And we have sent scores of young people to university across the globe. I mean, notwithstanding the disaster which has befallen us, that is Erica. I mean, in December, we sent a check to one university in America, $678,000 US. To one university where our students are. US dollars, $678,000 US. And that's just one university I'm talking about in the United States. So we are committed to this. What I would like to see, my dear brothers and sisters, and I'm saying I'm not only speaking to you here, I'm speaking to the entire country, that we need to take advantage of this opportunity at the first chance we have to propel it forward and so forth. So I don't want to be too long, but I believe in agriculture. You know, I believe in agriculture. And we as a country must continue to invest in agriculture. You will hear people talking all sorts of foolishness about the government is not doing enough for agriculture, this should be done, this should be done. I can tell you from where I sit, I mean, if the tourism people were getting the kind of support you guys get people getting for agriculture, if the manufacturers were getting the same support for agriculture, I'm sure they will be very, very, very happy people in Dominica. It's a tax-free business, as I said. Tax-free business. Highly subsidized inputs. Technical support on the farm. Free technical support. In other countries, for a government representative to come on your farm, you have to pay him. You have to pay the government for the service. But here it is free. We give you planting material. All of these things are free. And I think what we have to do is to be positive. We have to think positively for us to do positive things. We cannot not plant, and then when the huckster comes and you say, well, if I know I would have planted dashing, because look now the huckster asking for 500 pounds of dashing. And then what happens? People do not plant, and they want money, and quick money. There's an issue of predial larceny. People stealing people's crop. You understand? And it's a major issue, not only in Dominica, for example, in some Caribbean countries, I don't want to call the names, but they have courts, they have a magistrate court just for predial larceny. For people stealing people's farm produce. There's a magistrate who deals only with that issue. I'll tell you how serious it is. But I know we do not have that issue in Penville. I'm speaking to the wider public. I say the press is there, so they can carry this. It's a major concern to farmers. Fellas stealing cow, they stealing pig, you know, dashing, plantains, everything. You know, and it is disheartening to farmers who have to work so hard to plant. And just to tell you, and those of you who think, you know, Skerrit doesn't plant, as I said earlier, I'm not sure how many of you know Margaret Tooth in Penville. See? Leslie knows Margaret Tooth. Where you go all the way down in the valley. And I can tell you, I went down there some years ago to get dashing plants. I went all the way down in the valley to get dashing plants, and I had a huge bag of dashing plants in my head. And when I walked up that hill with dashing plants, my brother, when I got to the top, I threw the bag down and I lied down straight on my stomach and so forth. And I'm saying to myself, can you imagine a farmer has to come up there with a bag of dashing itself? You know? And at that time, I had in excess of 8,000 dashing plants in the soil. 8,000 dashing plants, and over 3,000 banks of yams in the soil. So if I have to come, and I intend to go seriously in the farming, the two things when I leave politics I'm going to do is, one, open a church, and secondly, to be bigger in agriculture. And I suspect many of the non-churchgoers, they will join my church when it opens and so forth. But I want to thank you, and I want to commend you. And I think the young people of Penville need commendation before I leave. I mean, the quality of this document which they presented to me, the Constitution and bylaws. You know, I feel proud of you as young people, that in this short period of time you could put this document together. So do not underestimate your talent. Do not underestimate your talent. Do not tell yourself that you are a second-class citizen, that you're not bright and you cannot do things to achieve and to make yourself proud and make your community proud. I can tell you today that I am deeply proud of you. When I first saw this document last week and having received it from you here today, this is an exceptional document that was created by yourselves here in Penville, young men and young women. Let us all seek to continue to achieve or to reach or to achieve excellence in what we do. Let the sky be our limits in what we can achieve. Let us not settle for mediocrity. If you're going to be a livestock farmer, tell yourself that you're going to be the best livestock farmer in Dominica, and put your will and your minds to it. If you're going to involve in vegetable production, you have to be the best vegetable producer, not only here in Penville, because we're not going to compete with people in Penville. I want us to compete with the rest of the world. I don't want you competing against with yourselves at all. I want us to compete with the rest of the world. So I am very pleased with what I have seen so far, and I believe that, you know, the investments which the government will put into you will be an investment that is worth it. What I would like to respectfully suggest, Mr. Oscar George and the rest of your executive, is that as part of the program, we should ensure that there is an education part of it, of managing your business. Because, my brother, if you are going to be in a business, you cannot, when you go Portsmouth, and because you see you make $500, you just take the thing and you go and spend in Portsmouth and give man drinks, and when you come in Penville, you don't have money to pay your farm workers. So you have to save. You have to pay yourself a wage. Pay yourself a wage, remove your expenditure, and put the rest for a rainy day. You know, too many of us as young people, when we get some money, we burn it one time. You know, we go to the shop, and unless that money is not is not finished, and so we're not leaving that shop. And we look for things to buy, you know, and then we wake up next morning and we find out that we're broke. So let us manage the money properly, and we'll be bringing people here to assist you with how do you go about managing your business properly in the farm program and the Young Farmers Group, the Agro Plus Inc. So I want to thank you for your courtesy of listening to me. I don't usually talk too long. I don't like talking too long, but I felt it necessary to share with you my own excitement for what we have achieved today, for what you have achieved today. And looking at the future, I believe the future is bright. And just to say to you that we will continue, we're working with the Harris family on the acquisition of the estate. Negotiations are continuing with the family, and I'm hoping that as soon as the negotiations are over, we will acquire this estate from the Harrises, so that your parents can, in many of them for the first time, have a title in their name. You know, we've been working on this land for generations, And as your power rep, I am committed to ensuring that we can empower you, your parents, so that your parents can, in their will, bequeath a piece of land to you, so you can use that security in the banks and to advance yourself. Once we are disposing the land and passing the land to your parents, there'll be one important condition which we shall place on this land, is that it shall always be used for agriculture. Because what's happening in Dominica is that the state sells agricultural land to people, and they sell it to all kind of foreigners. And then all of the good farmlands are now turning into housing. If we continue on that track, we run the risk of not having anywhere to grow our food. And then we'll be eternal importers of rice and macaroni. I know most of you like rice and macaroni. But, you know, as the Bible says, a man can't live by bread alone. You know. But let me challenge you, my friends, to continue being the best that you can. And I am here to facilitate. I am here to assist. I will say, not for the camera, but you have to take advantage of the opportunities which the power rep can provide to you in his special position. But you have to organize yourself. You have to organize yourself. Because once I leave the stage, once I leave the political arena, it will take us a very long time to have a power rep, or a power rep, as the leader of the country. It happens every 30 years. So, my challenge to you is to, if you're organized, I can tell you we can move mountains together. But you have to be organized. And you have shown that you can be organized, and we shall commit ourselves to making the 250,000 available to you, as we agreed. As I said, the first $100,000 will be made available today, and very soon those farmers who have been identified will start receiving checks to invest in their farms. May God bless you and bless your efforts. Thank you.